Hello, welcome back to If You Know, You Know. And today we're talking about the shadow government, or some people call it the deep state.
The deep state.
So there's a lot of different theories behind this, or hypothesis, if you want to be correct. We call it the secret government, the invisible government, the cryptocracy. And a lot of these different theories come from, it could be like central banks that are controlling it all, or groups like the Freemasons.
Like the Illuminatis?
Yes, Illuminatis, that's one.
I was in a car recently, an Uber, and I was being driven by the head of like the LA Freemasons. He showed me his fucking ring.
So why is he Uber driving?
He said he has a blast doing it. And then he played a bunch of rap songs for me that he does.
Weird.
He does a bunch of rap jingles.
And he's also maybe a controller of the free world?
I think he probably is, yeah. He seemed like he had some
He does Uber on the side, you know.
No, he definitely had some influence, because you know why I know that? Because he had pretty sick studio done beats. So I'm like, how the fuck did you get studio done beats, but your raps are kind of whack?
Whack good or whack bad?
Whack. Oh, well, there's only one whack.
It's whack, dude! Wacky!
Are you the white guy or am I the white guy? I think. Yeah. Wait, who's your white parent?
Stepdad.
I think I know who raised you a little more than the other one.
Oh shit, how'd you know?
Yeah.
He's like, son, there's whack good and there's whack bad. Okay, as white people, there's whack good, there's whack bad.
And Steve's over here just like, what?
And I'm like, my parents never taught me that shit.
People have different, I guess, theories of where, like, who really controls the government, right? There's even people that believe there's an organized Jewish state or whatever, and Hitler actually campaign on that, and that's how they started blaming. And that's where anti-Semitism comes from.
Since then, how do they say that after 7 million Jews, or what is it, 15 million Jews?
Was it 15?
Something like that.
Something large.
Something nuts.
In their argument, and this is not what I believe, but I know that through research, what I found out is that they still believe that Jewish people control America because a lot of men who own banks or the executives of banks and Hollywood, the media. So they're saying that
well, they like to say that we're Israel's bitch or whatever, right?
Yeah. So the organized Jewish or Jewry that's their theory, right? There's also a theory about the Vatican controlling everything. The Jesuits.
Less plausible, I think, only because of the scandals. I don't know how.
I think they weakened, actually.
I think big time. I don't think that the Catholic Church is as big as it was.
Oh no, it's not. They used to rule the world.
If they ruled right, and if they still ruled the world,
Muslims have overtaken them in terms of number of followers.
Numbers, yeah.
A long time ago.
Yeah, like we're talking like it was like in the early 2000s, I think, something like that.
There's money interests such as like global elites. You know,
always have
rich and famous of the world.
Honestly, these are like the smartest dudes right here, because if you really want to sustain your power, you don't want to be public. You want to be in the background.
I guess I just don't get how the Jews run everything if they don't even run their own country.
I don't know. Again, who's controlling it? That's up for debate.
All I mean by that is they coexist with the Arabs. Like the Jews are not
in Israel.
Israel's not just Jewish. Like it's a fucking multicultural. Like it's multi-ethnic everything. So the idea that they run everything and they want to get these people out, I don't see where the evidence is.
I think that their thought isn't Israel. That's a whole different group.
Okay.
But it's
like Jewish Americans.
Yeah, like a Jewish group, like a Jewish cabal, like a Jewish like a gang within that group. So another one is the Rothschilds. I think they're a Jewish banking family, and they basically during World War I or II, I forgot which one it was, but they were big federal reserves of like the European nations, and the conspiracy was, hey, they're all like funding these different countries through their banks, so it must be like a family colluding with each other and saying, let's just fund the enemy and each other and create these wars and make money off of them.
That's kind of like the skull and bones too, with the people at Yale. Like they say, I think George W. Bush was part of it.
Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, and a lot of people, they're just pretty much bringing their homies in.
Yep.
And then they're
DOD secretaries.
Yeah, it's just like one big, huge racket where they're all just buddies, and the government doesn't really matter to them.
Yeah, I feel like maybe there's some truth to it, like, but I see it as more like the Game of Thrones instead of one group owning everything.
Not just one entity. There's multiple shadow players
that are fighting for it.
Right,
I can believe that more. I can believe that all of the rich and powerful people probably know each other and probably work for their own interest within those groups.
Yeah, I don't think there's like a ha 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 Illuminati of one group.
There's a ha ha ha, but just not of one group. Yeah, like there's the Koch brothers. Well, now there's one, I guess, but then there's like Soros. Like there's a bunch of people who are multi-billionaires who are trying to affect policy, and they even admit to it.
And they're trying to seize power.
Right.
Yeah. But is there one overall like crazy shadow government that controls it all? I don't think so. Like I think the world just has too many fucking powerful people.
And it's impossible to regulate all that too. Even if you look at just regular countries and regular powers at play.
There's too much
It's hard
free
to
will.
control the entire world, you know what I mean? Like that.
There's a bunch of small groups.
I just don't know what better job they could have done than the past 20 years, frankly. So like when you want to talk about this, like if you want to talk about as far as one group controlling everything, I don't know if you say it's multi-groups or whatever the fuck, I don't know if one group could have done a better job controlling everything than what we've seen with the past 20 years of uninterrupted war.
Yeah.
And like we only expand wars into different countries. We're in every fucking country in Africa. All this kind of stuff. I don't know, man. I don't see the pushback. I don't see the fight, if you will. I only see one side, and that seems to be pro-war, and then everything else is like there's nobody fighting back.
Well, there's also another theory too that the people that are controlling everything is supposedly the 13 families that control the Federal Reserve.
Well, who does control the Federal
Are
Reserve?
there really 13 families that control the Federal
Privately
Reserve?
owned. It's not ours. It's not the government. We appoint the Federal Reserve chairman. The president of the United States does that.
Yeah.
But who runs the Federal Reserve? It's a private entity. People don't
No one really knows, but the conspiracy behind it is there's 13 families that own the Federal Reserve, and it's like just old school banking families, and they're all colluding with each other.
And since the early 1900s, that has been the standard. Like where the Federal Reserve is a separate entity that they set up.
Yeah. But I don't know what to believe because there are corporations that are pretty much family owned in Japan and in Europe that are over 100 years old. So if they could keep it within the family, can they keep it within the family?
No, but the Federal Reserve is an idea, right? Why do we have the Federal Reserve?
Oh, as a private entity.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Why
either.
does the United States allow a private entity to be such a huge influence on our entire economy? Where they can cut an economic rate or they can not cut it or raise it, and we're all just supposed to sit there and wait for the grand poobahs to figure it all out. Like that's kind of.
But wasn't it non-private for a while, and then some banking families turned it private? Or there was a story about it. I forgot.
It's one of those things that happened after the Depression, where it was like
It got privatized.
it got privatized.
Oh yeah, each state had its own banking, and
Right.
they had their own dollars. Oh, that's why we had to create a Federal Reserve so we could have a federal.
But then it wasn't a Federal Reserve. We made it a private reserve.
I
we
see.
call it the Federal Reserve, but it's private.
It's almost like in Game of Thrones where they have the Iron Bank, right?
But then what if in Game of Thrones you had the people elect the president of the Iron Bank? That's what we have right now.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we elect the president, and the president can appoint the chairman of the Federal Reserve, right? That's what we have right now. But who runs the Federal Reserve? It's not ours to run.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting because the way that the money supply works, we basically control the world's money supply through our Federal Reserve. And the cool thing is, we have the power to print money. So it's not backed by the gold standard, which money used to be like how much gold you had.
It was a
right?
1-to-1. No, it's not.
And then they changed it into a trust.
Nixon did it.
Right. But that also gives we, as in the Americans, the power to print money as much as we fucking want. And so we control the economy that way. And another thing is the petrol is traded in dollars, and that's so fucking important because everyone has to convert through the dollar. And this is where China is battling America right now through the trade war, right? They were, but that's why gold went up recently is because they started buying up all the fucking gold.
Exactly.
And that was their way of saying, fuck you, America, guess what? You guys want to fucking trade with us? Use yuans. We're backed by gold. You guys, you guys want to use gold? We'll trade it for gold, and then you could buy your petrol. So now they're trading that. They found a loophole, and that's when there's just a lot of.
And they also devalue their own currency in order to make us to drive up our prices.
But why is that important? I think it's because the money supply is being controlled by that one nation, right? So it's important to think about trading money and making your money the standard base.
If your money is Bitcoin, and everyone has to use Bitcoin to buy whatever altcoin they want.
Right, they have to trade it in with
Exactly.
that.
So Bitcoin becomes the most powerful coin, which is what happened in crypto. It's the same fucking shit with what Joe's talking about. Yeah.
So if it was the euro or if it was the pound or whatever, then it makes the dollar weak because the trust behind the dollar and people using it as a trade tool is just not there.
Right.
So that's why the peso's weak or these other currencies, they all have to go through the dollar to trade petrol.
Yes. Which is why the dollar is strong.
Everyone needs oil.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where the power kind of lies with us. We're like in debt, whatever. But here's the thing about being in debt. People are worried about it, but the government doesn't give a fuck because we can print as much dollars as we want.
And since our dollar is so strong, printing it is not.
It doesn't matter. And in the countries that we owe money to, which is Japan, Saudi Arabia, and China, all these 3 countries will never come back and try to take it from us.
Especially not the
Dependent
Saudis.
on the US.
Yeah.
It's a fucked up, crazy system.
Yeah, it is. And it seems very imaginary when you say printing of money. It's like, when does that end?
Well,
No one really questions the value of
That's
money.
the thing that no one does, so that's why.
yet.
Yes, right. But when it does, it's like, hey, shit, there's nothing to back this
But
up.
that's why God made Bitcoin.